Hello everyone. So I am in the current state of figuring out the palette I want to bring on our Kungsleden hike to Sweden. So I do have this very large folio palette by Art Toolkit. With me buying this new little envelope sleeve from Blick, I wanted to have a smaller one. I have a quite large one, but I thought that would be too big for hiking. So I cut my corrugated little plastic cardboard that I got at Michael's to fit in here. But now, having to make everything a little bit smaller, this palette is quite large. So I cut a whole bunch of papers I'm going to be bringing, watercolor papers, both with cold press and hot press, because I like playing with the different textures or the smoothness. So 5x7 is roughly the biggest I'm going to go, and I can already tell that this is going to be a little bit too cramped, maybe, because the best place to clip this is up here where it's the thinnest, because all these edges or all these sides have edges to them, so it's harder for me to clip more easily. I love this because of all this big mixing space to where I can kind of put greens, blues, my browns down here. I do like being able to do that, but I'm just afraid that this is going to become a little too big and kind of too heavy for just what I'm doing. We're doing a 3-week backpacking trip, so I feel perhaps I should fill all these little pans of all the colors that I have back into my smaller standard size of this palette. I do need to clean it. It's gotten kind of dirty. But I thought that this would be a lot easier to go back to, where I can clip this down. I don't have to do a second one. I still want to cut a hole. A lot of you gave me comments of cutting a hole right here to be able to put my shot glass of water to fit right down in there. So I am going to do that. I just had to figure out the size of everything before I cut the hole. And then I could be able to clip that on, maybe do another clip on this side if it's extra windy or something. And then I could have my water cup there, all my paints here, mixing here, and then my little Swedish towel that I have as my paper towel can also be clipped on here somewhere. So that was my first dilemma, was going from, do I want to do the big one or go ahead and bring a smaller one? So then my second dilemma has been what colors, in the sense of having these two sizes. I have this big size and this small size, and I feel like I could fit all these colors into this. I'm just trying to figure out which ones I need less of or more of. The cobalt blue, I know I use all the time, so I definitely know I want this size in it. But something like my ultramarine blue, I don't dip into it as often, so the smaller one, I still like to use it, I just don't do it as often. So that small one will be really helpful. But I'm trying to figure out, when it comes to maybe the reds versus all these earth tone yellows. So something I also thought of doing was looking up the Kungsleden landscape and seeing on here, and I'm not going in the fall, so I won't need, if it was fall, I would do more of these orangey reds, but it looks like it's a lot of blues and greens. Yeah. So just looking at this, I feel like I'd want more of these. These ones I already have is the big ones. But even some of the lakes and whatnot is this really pretty, potentially the cobalt teal blue. But do I need a full size like this, or would a tiny size work better? So that's kind of the second dilemma that I'm at. The flowers. Yeah, more flower colors. So definitely the pink. I was already thinking with my quinacridone rose, having a bigger one of it. I don't even know if I'll bring my violet color because my rose and some of my blues make really pretty purples too. So I may actionate this one. So while there is going to be some reds, I feel like sticking to the tiny ones of that and maybe not doing like the big color of like the Indian red or the quinacridone burnt orange. I might switch those to the smaller ones and maybe do some more bigger ones of the blues. So that is just the dilemma that I am at currently. I was just going to go ahead, kind of figure out where I want to do all these, and I'm just going to fill them all and probably clean this up first because it's pretty messy. So I'd like to have a nice clean slate for our hike. And then I will show you my pack and everything once I figure out every last detail. I've been figuring it all out, being like, should I bring this one? And I'm like, yes, I should, because there could be windy and it'll be a nice, simple, little setup like this. And then instead of having to have this, I could put my paper towel thing there and then boom, that's all that I would need. But then if I do want to have a full thing of water, I then can use my travel brush that I'm bringing. So yay, the dilemmas of figuring out my palette for just a 3-week backpacking trip. This is my first one where it's super long, so that's why I'm putting a lot of thought into it. I feel like when I come back from the trip, I'm gonna have learned a whole bunch more new information about what I should do, what I shouldn't do. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to show you my thought process. I'm gonna clean this up, or maybe I'll fill these guys first and then clean this up while all the paints are settling in there. These things are fairly cheap from Art Toolkit, so I don't mind, kind of doubling up on the paints again. Plus then that means I have a little mini version and a big version for when I come back. So I think that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and start filling all these colors. Perfect. So I filled all my pans and I went ahead and cleaned my little standard size. A tip I have for cleaning this is to use one of those magic erasers for like your bathroom. So I just went in the bathroom and scrubbed the heck out of it, and it definitely cleaned it up a lot more. So now that all these are going to be drying overnight, I'm a little impatient and I'm gonna kind of try to configure them, but that might make a mess. That's okay. I'm gonna do it anyways. I could do another big size here and then a small one there. I do have, like I said, this violet color that I haven't decided if I wanted to bring it yet, but that is nice to know that I have more space. So that's super cool. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and make myself one of these little swatch cards so that I know what color is what and figure out what I want to do here. So I hope that you enjoyed bearing through with me as I figured out how to go about what size of these colors, figuring out going from my big folio palette here of the same colors, exact same colors, just now I have more space on my whole board here by instead of being these full size, being these smaller half size pans. So I hope you liked this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe so you can see my full kit that I'm going to bring in a little fanny pack once I get my last bits. I've been figuring out pencils and pens and just probably overthinking it a bit too much for a backpacking trip, but I wanted to make sure I have everything that I would like to have for this trip. And I'm really excited, all the papers that are under here, I'm really excited to paint a whole bunch of Sweden landscapes. But yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.